A check of the top business news stories. Our business editor, Kate Moody's here. Hi there, Kate.
Hi, Tom.
Now, as the EU struggles to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, you're looking at the state of France's restaurant industry, and it's an industry that's had a serious dose of pain.
Yeah, it's now been 1 year this week since France first went into lockdown. The specter of a third lockdown now looms, and businesses are facing renewed uncertainty about their future. The restaurant industry has been among the hardest hit. French restaurants have been open for takeout or delivery only since late October. And although the government has outlined a 3-step, 3-month-long plan for allowing diners back in, there's still no firm date for them to begin reopening. Well, to discuss this, we're joined by Damien Rodiere, General Manager for Western Europe at The Fork, which is an online restaurant reservation platform. Thanks for being with us on France 24 this evening. Now, the French government in the past year has spent millions of euros to support the restaurant industry, notably with its paid furlough scheme for employees. Has that, in your opinion, been enough for restaurateurs?
Yeah, I think, hello everyone. I think this help has been, we have to admit that these helps have been amazing and are critical to allow the restaurant to see the future in a better way. So basically, thanks to the furlough, thanks to the loan, and thanks to the other helps that have been put in place, restaurants now they are ready to reopen, and we can see that compared to other countries in Europe. Most of the restaurants have been able to benefit from this help. It represents more than 90% of the restaurants. Without this furlough and without this ability for restaurants to maintain their employees, we know how difficult it is in this sector to recruit. So I don't know what would have been the consequence without this kind of measure. So we have to say that yes, it has been decisive and will be decisive for the future for this restaurant industry.
How are restaurant owners feeling about this ongoing uncertainty? What steps are they taking to ensure that when they can finally open again, their restaurants will be as safe as possible?
So basically, restaurants are adapting a lot the way they will welcome the customers. So they will follow up, of course, the protocols that will be asked by the government. We've seen a lot of resilience in the restaurant industry, and they show capacity to adapt to what the consumer is looking for. More contactless payment, for instance. We've seen as well a new way of welcoming the consumer. So I think that restaurants have been adapting a lot the way they operate their restaurant. Now the biggest unknown is when they will be able to welcome again a consumer in there.
Damien Rodiere from The Fork, thanks so much for speaking to us this evening. Well, the U.S. Federal Reserve has sharply raised its forecast for economic growth in the U.S. this year, projecting GDP will expand 6.5% in 2021, compared with 4.2% in its December forecast. America's central bank attributed the more upbeat outlook to vaccines and fiscal stimulus, but said it would keep its own interest rates near record lows until the labor market and inflation had recovered. That likely won't be until 2023. Chairman Jerome Powell saying some 10 million Americans need to get back to work, and warning that the pandemic and the economic damage it's wreaked wouldn't disappear overnight.
Indicators of economic activity and employment have turned up recently, although the sectors of the economy most adversely affected by the resurgence of the virus and by greater social distancing remain weak.
Jerome Powell speaking there. Well, that promise of support for as long as is needed has boosted Wall Street. The Dow Jones, S&P 500 and NASDAQ all rallying, some from earlier slight losses to close slightly higher there. The Dow Jones up at 0.6%. Investors relieved that those easy lending conditions won't end anytime soon. Walt Disney shares, meanwhile, have risen just under 1% after it announced it would be reopening its California theme parks at the end of April. The major European indices were muted and mixed. Stocks in London and Paris ending lower, Frankfurt and Milan slightly higher. AstraZeneca shares were down about 1.3% in London, despite backing from the World Health Organization for its COVID-19 vaccine. The U.S. Senate has unanimously approved the appointment of Katherine Tai as U.S. Trade Representative. Tai is the first woman of color to hold that position, and she'll face a busy agenda. While the Biden administration has indicated it wants to patch up trade relations with the European Union, it's maintaining a firm line with China and has not removed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. The trade war between the world's two largest economies will be addressed at bilateral talks set to take place in Alaska on Thursday. Well, the European Union has outlined its vision for a vaccine passport, and the tourism industry is crossing its fingers for the summer holiday season. It's a crucial part of the bloc's economy, as Luke Schrago explains.
For people on the Spanish island of Gran Canaria, an EU-approved COVID pass would be the light at the end of a long tunnel.
En este caso, nosotros las islas dependemos de 1.000 por 1.000 de la entrada de extranjeros. Con esto, seguro que habrá mucha gente que no estará de acuerdo, pero nosotros dependemos de ello en este caso. Esta crisis que estamos sufriendo, este pasaporte sanitario facilitará la entrada y salida de extranjeros, ya sea vacacional, ya sea por trabajo.
Over a year into the coronavirus pandemic, the European Union has seen tourism all but collapse after travel restrictions went into force in varying degrees. The sector's worth 10% of the EU's collective GDP across 2.4 million businesses, over 90% of those small and medium-sized enterprises. They had serious issues weathering a 75% drop in tourism-related services in the first 6 months of the pandemic alone. For southern nations more reliant on tourism as a percentage of their GDP, it's been almost catastrophic. Spain acted last week to help its struggling firms with an €11 billion aid package to help keep them afloat until summer, when many hoped the COVID pass could come into force. However, even industry professionals believe more is needed on all fronts.
Es ist eben ein Element. Wir werden bis zum Sommer nicht alle geimpft sein, auch in Deutschland nicht. Deshalb müssen wir für diejenigen, die trotzdem reisen möchten und es ja auch sollen, dann entsprechend eine Teststrategie einbauen. Das heißt, impfen und testen, das ist die Möglichkeit, dann den Sommerurlaub anzutreten.
Even mass vaccinations carry their own element of doubt, with uncertainty still prevailing over whether those inoculated can still transmit the virus or not.
Well, Iceland is one step ahead of the game. It's been opening its borders this week to all visitors who have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Travelers that can show proof of vaccination won't have to provide a negative test result or face quarantine on arrival. Tourist numbers in the northern country tumbled 75% last year, causing its economy to contract by 6.6%. Now, Iceland's policy does apply only to vaccines that have been certified by the European Medicines Agency. For now, that excludes Chinese and Russian vaccines. And Tom, it really adds a level of complexity to what is already a very contentious issue, really.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Our business editor, Kate Moody.